Hello. I want to take one quick moment and try to give some help on how to form the thesis and how to use this organizer, the SA1 organizer, to build a thesis. At the bottom you'll see I've copied in the prompt of SA1, and I have here an example thesis, and of course looking at the end I haven't finished those sentences, but what I wanted to do is give you a sense of how you build a thesis. Well, the first test of a thesis, one of the things we need to understand is the thesis should be a short, brilliant answer to the question of the prompt. Now, the rest of the essay is the support of that thesis. It's proving that your thesis is true or accurate or interesting. But the thesis itself, those one or two sentences, should be a clear answer to the prompt. So one of the tests of your own thesis is after you write it, look at the prompt, read it out loud. Imagine someone asking you this question, like in the grocery store, you're in Walmart and you're in the middle of an aisle, and someone comes up to you and says, interesting choice on Doritos there. By the way, which perspective on the society and politics of democracies do you see more of in modern America, Pericles' or the old oligarchs? And because you are well learned and brilliant, you know exactly what they're talking about there in the middle of the aisle, and you say back to them, well, Pericles best anticipated American society when he explained that democracies empower people from the lower classes as well as provide equal justice. Pericles also predicted the way American politics works by understanding that democracies provide laws that are administered equally across all classes, say. And I'm just making that up the top of my head. But the way you would do it is you would come up here and you'd say, okay, I know what I have. I'm going to look in this organizer. First of all, who did I agree with? Pericles or the old oligarch? You made this decision early on when you started filling in your chart, and that would determine how you start your thesis sentence. So let's imagine that you agreed with old oligarch, just for variety. Well, if someone asks you which perspective on society and politics of democracies do you see more of in modern America, Pericles or oligarchs, you want to get right there on the table as quickly as possible. The old oligarch, right? That establishes who you agreed with, right? Early on in your sentence, just like in my example, I tried to establish that I agreed with Pericles. If you were going the other way on this, you'd establish right off the bat you agree with the old oligarch. So the old oligarch, what? We look at the prompt. Well, what are we talking about here? We're talking about who had the better perspective on democracies. And in modern America, we're a kind of democracy. We're a democratic republic. We have popular vote. And so we say, okay, we're really looking at which of these two men were right about what democracies do and how they function. And we're going to find out which was right because they spoke in ancient times, and we're going to look around at our modern democracy and we're going to see which of them kind of had the best predictions about what would happen. So if we're writing this, we say the old oligarch, and I'm going to put here best understood, not understood, understood. Best oligarch, best understood how democracies function. Now, I have clearly stated who I'm with, but now I need to start talking about my two themes, society and politics. Those are the two ways in which the old oligarch was accurate in this case. So we say the old oligarch best understood how democracies function when he explained that democratic societies. Now I'm going to stop here. What I was trying to do, the move I was trying to make, was I had to get to my theme. So, going back to the beginning, I've established who I agree with. I established what I agree with about, which is that he best understood how democracies function. And now I'm trying to pivot and move towards one of my themes. So the old oligarch best understood how democracies function when he explained that democratic societies what? Now, how I finish this sentence I would go up and I would look at my arguments for my summaries, and I'm going to look for which of these three summaries talk about society. Now, probably I might have one on politics and two on society, or I might have two on politics and one on society. I'm going to look for the ones, whatever I have here that talks about society. Let's say I have two of them, right? Two different arguments that were both social arguments. They were slightly different arguments, but they were both about society. So I look at these two things, and I'm going to try to smush them together. And so I might say, to finish this, the old oligarch best understood how democracies function. Well, if I had something up here, if I'm agreeing with the old oligarch, and he said something about how the upper classes are better educated, and he said down here something about the upper classes have better judgment, just say. Then I would finish this sentence by saying, understood that when he explained that democratic societies are best led by the upper classes who have better education and judgment. And that's how I would use the chart. Now, I'm not done, because this thesis must be, or probably should be, a two-sentence thesis. And the reason for that is we have two themes we're talking about here, society and politics. And if my first sentence comes in and says the old oligarch best understood how blah blah, that's great, but I have talked about societies. I need to have that second thesis sentence about politics, because I have to fully answer the question. So I could say again here, just looking at my example above, who's doing the talking? The old oligarch. Also, best understood democratic politics because he knew that and I would look up here and I would say, okay, which of these arguments four dealt with politics? And I'm going to try to take those summaries and word them into this sentence. And when I do that, I will then have a two-sentence, I'll erase these little dots, I'll have a two-sentence thesis that is a clear, brilliant answer to the prompt. And then I spend the rest of the essay writing these body paragraphs that will support and back up and validate what I have said here. That is how you use the prompt, and you use this chart, really focusing over here, this column, in order to make your thesis. Okay? All right, good luck. Finish the chart and also work on that thesis today. Thank you.